Um, Imagine for a second that you are sitting in a really crowded, rainy cafe.
Ugh, just trying to escape the weather.
Yeah, exactly. You're just trying to finish your lunch, minding your own business,
Mm.
and then a stranger walks up and asks to take the only empty chair left at your table.
Which is always a little awkward.
Right.
Huh.
You hesitate for a fraction of a second, but you pull the chair out. Now, I want you to imagine that years later, you realize this random stranger you almost didn't let sit down. Well, they are actually the most important person in your life.
It's genuinely terrifying to think about, right?
It really is.
The idea that one tiny split-second decision could rob you of the most profound relationship of your life. I mean, it's wild. But that is exactly what happens in the story we are unpacking today.
So welcome to today's deep dive. We are exploring a really incredible source text, a script called Can I Sit With You?
And our mission today is to dig into a story that starts with that exact scenario, a chance encounter in a Texas cafe.
Right. But it quickly evolves, into this massive exploration of anonymous philanthropy, the ripple effects of these small acts of kindness, and what actually happens when the invisible walls between a so-called donor and a recipient completely break down.
It completely collapses those
It
boundaries.
really does. So to set the stage for you, we are looking at two main subjects whose daily realities could not be more polarized. On one side, you have Nathan Foster.
Right.
He's a single dad working as a school bus driver in Cedar Ridge, Texas.
Yeah.
And he is stretching absolutely every single dollar to raise his 9-year-old daughter, Lily.
And on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, we have Victoria Haze.
Yes.
She is a billionaire tech investor, heavily featured in business magazines, and she's the head of the massive Haze Family Foundation.
Which brings us to the core tension of this entire narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine knowing everything about someone's deepest struggles, their medical bills, their housing crises, their employment gaps.
All of their most vulnerable data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
While they don't even know your last name. That is the kind of massive information asymmetry we are dealing with here.
You have two people operating under entirely different philosophies about wealth, about charity, and human connection, and they are completely unaware that their lives have been quietly intertwined for nearly a decade.
Yeah. And the way these two worlds physically collide for the first time is just so perfectly ordinary. It's a rainy Thursday afternoon. Nathan and Lily are in this cozy little neighborhood cafe.
Just having lunch.
Right. And they are sharing a single grilled cheese sandwich and a bowl of tomato soup. And there's this beautiful, subtle detail in the source material.
Oh, the sandwich.
Yes. Lily is dipping her bread in the soup, completely unaware that Nathan is quietly pushing the larger half of the sandwich toward her plate.
That small gesture just establishes Nathan's character immediately. I mean, it's a quiet sacrifice.
Yeah.
He isn't making a show of his struggle. He is simply doing what needs to be done to care for his daughter, without drawing any attention to himself.
And into this warm, quiet little ecosystem walks Victoria. Her tailored coat is damp, she has no umbrella, and she just looks like she stepped into the wrong dimension.
She's completely out of her element.
Totally. The cafe is packed, and the only two empty chairs are at Nathan and Lily's table. So she asks to sit.
And Nathan doesn't even hesitate.
Not at all, he says, of course. And right away, Lily, being this incredibly observant 9-year-old, notices Victoria's damp coat. She offers her an extra napkin, telling Victoria that her dad always keeps them because she likes solving everyone's problems.
That innocent comment, it just immediately shatters the ice.
It really does.
But it achieves something far more important for Victoria. It completely disarms her. Because she is used to people approaching her with calculated intent. And here is a child just offering a dry napkin because it's raining.
Okay, let's unpack this, because Victoria lives in a world where every single interaction is a negotiation. I mean, people in her circle are constantly measuring status, influence, ambition.
Everything is a transaction.
Exactly. Every conversation is a pitch or a networking opportunity. So sitting down with Nathan and Lily is like she has been running on a high-speed treadmill for 20 years, and she suddenly just steps off onto solid ground.
Yeah.
The contrast has to be just jarring for her.
What's fascinating here is how Nathan's complete lack of pretense acts as an absolute anomaly in Victoria's reality.
Right.
When she asks him about his job driving a school bus, she expects the usual societal apologies or explanations.
They're like, oh, I'm just doing this until I get my real estate license or whatever.
Exactly. But he doesn't apologize for it. He doesn't have a massive chip on his shoulder. He tells her it's the best job he's ever had, that the kids tell him stories that make him laugh all the way home.
That is so rare.
In Victoria's world, people constantly talk about ambition and climbing the ladder. But Nathan is just radiating this quiet gratitude for exactly where he is. He is entirely present.
And then Lily drops this absolute truth bomb right in the middle of lunch. Victoria notices that Lily likes helping people, and Lily just shrugs and says, "My dad says little things matter because everybody remembers how people make them feel."
Such a powerful line.
It's such a simple phrase.
Yeah.
But I can see how a line like that from a 9-year-old would just act as a massive disruptor to a billionaire's entire worldview.
Well, it forces Victoria to confront the actual metrics she uses to measure her own impact. I mean, she donates millions to hospitals and housing programs.
Like the gig scale stuff.
Yes, she measures her worth in annual reports, tax write-offs, and data points. But Lily's comment bypasses all that institutional logic.
Because it's about emotion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It strikes right at the emotional core of human memory. We don't remember the exact dollar amount of a grant, We remember the feeling of being seen, of being valued. In that cafe, Victoria realizes she might have forgotten the value of small, unquantifiable moments in her pursuit of massive scale.
Yeah. But that warmth in the cafe doesn't last. The moment they go home, we see the very different, isolated realities their philosophies have created for them. We follow them both that evening, and the contrast is almost cinematic.
It really is striking.
Victoria is in her beautiful, spacious, completely silent house outside Cedar Ridge. She's reviewing her foundation's monthly summary, just spreadsheets of scholarships, grants, emergency assistance, and she operates on this very strict philosophy. Recipients must remain unknown.
Right. She operates on the belief that distance protects dignity. In her mind, charity should be efficient, fair, and emotionally distant.
Which makes sense on paper, I guess.
Sure. By keeping the recipients anonymous, she believes she is removing any expectation of gratitude. She actually sees gratitude as a potential burden on the people receiving help, like a power dynamic that forces them to perform thankfulness.
Wow. Okay, then we pan over to Nathan's evening. He puts Lily to bed, walks into the hallway, and pulls out this blue storage box from a wooden shelf. And inside are all these old envelopes.
The letters.
The letters, yeah. Letters from anonymous organizations that kept his family afloat during their hardest times. There's a letter that covered toddler medical bills when Lily was sick, another for rent assistance when his construction work completely dried up.
And one for a private reading program.
Right. For Nathan, those letters aren't just receipts or financial records.
Not at all.
They are physical proof of this invisible truth, that somewhere out there, someone chose kindness over indifference when his family had nothing.
It's his lifeline.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because I want to push back on a narrative that society constantly feeds us. We are often taught that anonymous giving is the absolute purest, most noble form of charity.
The whole idea of doing it in secret.
Exactly. Do it in secret, don't ask for a thank you, keep your ego out of it. But looking at the emotional void in Victoria's life, doesn't this suggest that the so-called efficiency of anonymous giving actually strips away the human connection that both the donor and the recipient desperately need?
That is precisely the systemic issue this story exposes. We really have to look at the underlying psychology of modern philanthropy here.
Okay.
Because for Victoria, that emotionally distant generosity wasn't just about protecting the recipient's dignity. It was actually a psychological shield for herself.
Wait, really? A shield?
Yes. Think of it as a drone strike of kindness.
Oh, wow.
You drop the aid from 30,000 feet, you see the numbers on a spreadsheet, but you never have to walk through the rubble on the ground. It kept the messy, complicated, and honestly often heartbreaking reality of human suffering safely confined to a neatly formatted report.
So she never had to get her hands dirty, emotionally speaking.
Exactly. It protected her from the vulnerability of true face-to-face connection.
I never considered that anonymity could be a defense mechanism for the giver. I mean, that completely flips the script on why we professionalize charity.
And look at how it affected Nathan. He didn't just use that anonymous aid for financial survival, he used it as literal, tangible hope.
Because someone believed in him.
Right. The money paid the rent, sure,
Wow.
but the fact that a stranger believed in his family gave him the emotional fuel to keep waking up every morning.
Yeah.
The tragedy of their situation is that the philanthropic system deliberately kept them apart. Victoria was sitting in a mansion starved for genuine human connection, and Nathan was deeply grateful to a ghost. The system of anonymous charity severed the very relationship that could have healed them both.
That is so profoundly sad. And they don't even know it yet.
Yeah.
Over the next few weeks, they actually start deliberately building a friendship. It stops being just a chance encounter.
They seek each other out.
They do. Victoria gets in her car on a Saturday morning,
Yeah.
tells herself she just wants some fresh air, but she purposefully drives to the community park farmers market that Nathan had mentioned during lunch.
She is seeking out that solid ground. She's drawn to their authenticity because it's such a scarce resource in her daily life.
It really is. And when they meet up, Lily gives Victoria this handmade friendship bracelet, just woven from colorful thread. And Victoria accepts it like she's just been handed a priceless artifact.
It means so much to her.
Right. And then they walk through the market, and there's this incredibly telling moment. Lily stops to admire a small watercolor painting of bluebonnets on a hillside.
I love this part.
Me too. She looks at it for a really long time, and then she just walks away smiling and saying, "Looking is fun too." And Victoria is watching Nathan during this. He's quietly calculating rent and groceries in his head, measuring every single purchase, but there is zero resentment in him.
None at all.
Just restraint.
That moment is crucial for Victoria's development. It shows her a kind of wealth she isn't used to seeing. In the corporate world, seeing something you like means acquiring it.
Right, you just buy it.
But Nathan's wealth is entirely in his perspective, his peace of mind, and his bond with his daughter. He doesn't view his financial limitations as a personal failure or some cosmic injustice.
He just accepts it gracefully.
He navigates his reality with absolute grace, which really challenges Victoria's assumption that people with less money are inherently defined by their lack of it.
So later on, Victoria attends Lily's elementary school art showcase. And Lily hands Victoria a thank you card for coming, and tucked inside is a pressed bluebonnet.
A physical piece of the painting she admired.
Exactly. Victoria stares at it, feeling this vague sense of familiarity, but she can't quite place it. So what does this all mean for you in your own circles? Think about your own life. Think about how much time we all spend networking to gain some sort of advantage.
Way too much time.
Right. We curate our friendships based on utility, on what someone can do for our career or our social standing. Yet here is a billionaire finding the ultimate value in a relationship precisely because absolutely nothing is being leveraged.
For the first time in years, people are talking to Victoria without asking for a check, a favor, or an introduction.
She's just Victoria.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this period of authentic socialization isn't just a heartwarming montage. It is structurally essential for the emotional climax of the story.
How so?
Well, the foundation of their friendship must be built on mutual respect and genuine enjoyment of each other's company, completely stripped of any financial power dynamics.
Well, because if it wasn't,
Right, if that foundation isn't rock solid, the relationship will never survive the revelation of the truth. They have to establish themselves as absolute equals before the weight of their past can be introduced.
because the truth is definitely coming, and the collision of these two worlds is intense. The critical turning point happens when Victoria goes over to Nathan's modest, warm house for homemade chili and cornbread.
Just a normal dinner.
Just a normal dinner. But while she's helping set the table, she spots that blue storage box on the shelf. The lid is slightly open, and she sees the faded logo of a regional nonprofit on one of the envelopes.
And she recognizes it immediately.
She does. It's a group her foundation used to heavily partner with.
The breadcrumbs are finally starting to form a trail.
Yeah. Then Nathan notices Victoria looking at the colorful friendship bracelet Lily made, which is still tied around her wrist. And he mentions very casually that Lily made one almost exactly like it years ago.
Oh, the tension here.
I know. He says she sent it with a thank you letter to an anonymous donor who helped them through a really dark time. And he says he never knew what happened to it. He just hoped it brought someone a little joy.
At this point, the fragments, the pressed bluebonnet, the faded logo, the story of the bracelet, they're all starting to coalesce in Victoria's mind.
She has to suspect something.
She does, but she's a rational, data-driven investor. She doesn't just jump to conclusions based on a hunch. She needs verifiable data.
Which she gets almost serendipitously. So she's tasked with the 10-year anniversary review for the Haze Family Foundation. She has to dig through these massive archive boxes to find stories showing the long-term effects of their early assistance programs.
Going through the physical files.
Right, she's going through all these dusty files in her office, and finally she opens the folder from that specific regional nonprofit.
This is the exact moment the abstract concept of her charity becomes agonizingly specific.
It really is. It's all right there in black and white. The file details a long-term family support program. One grant for pediatric medical expenses, another for temporary housing during an employment interruption.
And a third for specialized reading instruction.
It's a perfect point-for-point match to the struggles Nathan had mentioned. And there's a handwritten note from the old director. It says, "Continue assistance when appropriate. Family demonstrates exceptional responsibility."
And then the smoking gun.
Yes. A scanned copy of a child's thank you drawing, and taped in the corner is a pressed bluebonnet.
She requests the unredacted historical record to confirm it.
And there it is, printed clearly on the page. Nathan Foster.
Wow.
I want to pause here because this is such a mind-bending psychological situation. Think about what you would do in that moment. It's like finding out the person you've been casually chatting with at the bus stop for months is actually the anonymous surgeon who saved your life a decade ago.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks. Or in Victoria's case, realizing you've been playing the role of God in your new best friend's life. It completely recontextualizes every single interaction you've ever had.
Everything.
And Victoria freezes. She doesn't call him. She just sits with this secret.
Hmm.
Is she keeping quiet because she genuinely wants to protect Nathan from feeling watched or indebted? Or is she just protecting herself from losing the only normal, authentic friendship she has?
We really have to look at the mechanics of the power dynamic here to understand her hesitation.
Because it's huge.
Massive. For 9 years, Victoria quietly shaped the trajectory of Nathan's life as a faceless benefactor. Through her foundation, she possessed the unilateral power to approve or deny the very means of his family's survival.
Just playing with people's lives from afar.
Yes, that is an immense, terrifying amount of unseen power to hold over someone you now consider a peer. For the first time, she is seeing the actual human weight of those files. She realizes that revealing herself threatens to fundamentally destroy the equilibrium they've established.
Right, because if she tells him the truth, does she stop being his friend and instantly revert to being his savior?
Exactly. That is a devastating prospect for someone who has finally found a relationship where she is valued just for existing rather than for providing.
But she eventually comes to this profound realization that silence isn't protection, it's avoidance. She realizes that withholding this truth is just another way of keeping up a wall.
Another shield.
Yep. So she calls a final meeting at that same cafe on a Saturday afternoon. Lily arrives with a new drawing of 3 people drinking hot chocolate, and Victoria sits down, places her hands on the envelope containing the foundation records, and she asks Nathan a hypothetical question.
Which is such a vulnerable thing to do.
It is. She asks, if you met the person who helped your family all those years ago, what would you say?
And Nathan's response delivers the emotional thesis of this entire narrative.
He looks at her and says, I would say that the money kept us afloat, but the hope mattered more. Every letter reminded me that someone believed our family was worth helping.
Oh, that is so powerful.
It's incredible. And then Victoria just slides the envelope across the table. Nathan opens it. He sees the foundation records, the scanned bluebonnet drawing, and the name printed at the top. The Haze Family Foundation.
He connects the dots.
He connects them. He realizes the woman sitting across from him, the woman who ate his homemade chili and laughed at his jokes, is the stranger he's been thanking in his private prayers for 9 years.
And Lily realizes it too.
Yes, and without missing a beat, Lily just wraps her arms around Victoria.
In that moment, Victoria realizes that no corporate award, no magazine headline, no public recognition has ever felt as deeply meaningful as that single, unprompted embrace.
And I really want to zero in on Nathan's reaction here because this is a crucial detail for you to catch as a listener. When the truth comes out, Nathan doesn't feel humiliated.
Yeah, not at all.
He doesn't feel exposed, and he doesn't feel this crushing weight of debt to Victoria. That seems really counterintuitive to how we usually view charity.
Yeah, it definitely breaks the mold.
So why does he handle it with such grace? Because he had already, years ago, framed the anonymous help not as a transactional handout, but as a lifeline of belief in his family. He viewed it as a partnership of hope.
This raises an important question about how systems of charity operate today. As a society, we have professionalized generosity to the point of absolute sterility.
Totally sterile.
Victoria admits to Nathan that her system successfully protected identities, but in doing so, it entirely removed the humanity. She thought staying invisible was the most ethical, pure way to help. But Nathan's reaction reminded her that every file has a face, a voice, and a family behind it.
So they both experience these massive paradigm shifts right there at the table. Nathan tells her, you helped us survive, but hope was the greater gift. And Victoria responds, and you gave purpose back to something I had allowed to become routine.
It's a perfect synthesis of their journeys. It shows how both characters were operating on deeply flawed assumptions about human nature.
Yeah, they really were.
Victoria believed generosity was solely measured by what a person gave. The dollar amount, the efficiency of the grant, the scale of the impact. Nathan believed gratitude was a burden he had to carry quietly toward an unknowable, faceless entity.
But they were both wrong.
Exactly. They were both wrong. Generosity isn't just giving money from a safe distance, and gratitude isn't just suffering quietly in the dark. Both require an active, vulnerable connection.
That realization actually leads to systemic change, too. Victoria promises to fundamentally alter how her foundation works. She's still going to protect privacy for those who want it, but she commits to spending more time actually listening to the communities she serves.
Getting on the ground.
Right. She refuses to let impact just be numbers on a page anymore. She wants to know the people behind the files.
Because she finally understands a crucial truth. Proximity to the need fundamentally changes the nature of the giving. You simply cannot truly help a community from 30,000 feet.
And as they're leaving the cafe, the story brings us right back to the exact physical space where we started. Lily touches the empty chair where Victoria first sat and says, "This seat is lucky." But Victoria looks at Nathan and Lily and says, "The chair was never lucky. The people around it were."
Wow. It's a beautiful distillation of everything we've discussed today. True kindness isn't just the money that pays a bill or the efficiency of a corporate grant.
No.
It's the courage to sit beside a stranger. It's the patience to listen to their story without an agenda. It's the humility to receive help when you need it without feeling lessened by it. And most importantly, it's the willingness to let another person's life completely and irrevocably change your own.
So as you go about your week, remember that you are constantly navigating a world full of strangers, just like that crowded Cedar Ridge Cafe. I want to challenge you to look at how you view the so-called transactions in your own life.
The daily interactions.
Exactly. When you interact with people, whether it's giving professional advice, offering a favor to a neighbor, or even donating to a cause, are you remaining emotionally distant to protect yourself from the messiness of their reality? Or are you actually leaving room for genuine, beautiful human connection?
We spend so much energy building walls to make our lives more efficient and protected, but we often end up walling ourselves off from the very experiences that make life meaningful in the first place.
Which leaves us with this final lingering question for you to mull over. If true generosity requires vulnerability and human connection, are our modern systems of automated charity, our anonymous online campaigns, and our highly sanitized, walled-off philanthropy actually robbing us of the very human experiences they were designed to facilitate?
That's a profound thought.
What if the most valuable thing you have to donate isn't your money, your advice, or your influence, but your actual physical proximity to those in need? What if the most important person in your life is just waiting for you to pull out a chair and let them sit at your table?
That is definitely something worth thinking about.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.